people who've been in the game a long time know, never bet against Mark Zuckerberg.
Actually, people that have been in this game a long time also know that this sentence was first delivered by Peter Thiel by referring to Elon Musk when commenting the success of SpaceX and Tesla in spite of the odds and the skepticism. But Andrew Bosworth, CTO at Meta, has his own reason to use the same warning for Zuckerberg too.
Well, we have the great benefit of Mark Zuckerberg, who is unequivocally in control of the situation, in control of the company, and personally, guiding it. Certainly, he comes to all of us for guidance and different points of view.
Just to put the session into context, Bosworth was on stage during a session at the World Economic Forum. Now, the media and other online channels covered extensively the geopolitical sessions or the tech sessions when leaders were on stage. But somehow this session was organized in one of the small rooms and didn't quite get much attention, even though the host was Emily Chang, who covered technology for Bloomberg for many years, and her guest is somebody that knows the ins and outs of Meta and has been a close friend of Mark Zuckerberg for the last 20 years. And in fact, he addresses all the most relevant topics today, starting with the AI models. Today there are many AI models of different sizes around the world, and, as we saw in previous videos, Meta is credited for this proliferation after it launched Llama, the first AI open source model. But now Meta seems to take a different direction, and we should expect some big news in this area. Take a listen.
We went from being really at the frontier and then kind of falling behind, and then Llama 2, Llama 3 looking really promising, and then Llama 4 really didn't advance the state of the art, it catches up to the state of the art. So we've been pretty open about those struggles over the last 9 months. The good news is we spent the last 9 months being open about those struggles and kind of fixing them. The team we've landed, Alex Wang, Nat Friedman, Shenjia, like the team underneath them, unbelievable talents. And I gotta tell you, I can't go too much into details. It's been a very big month because this is the month internally we got the first access to the first model that they built. It's gonna be a very good year. A year ago, Google was out of the game and it was all DeepSeek and Qwen 2.5. And then 6 months ago, Google was the only thing talking about. Today, it's only Cloud 4.5. It's a very fun. It's actually, in tech, we haven't seen this in a while, where it's like the narrative is so different every 3 or 4 months. You almost can't believe what it was 5 months ago. So I don't worry too much about the being written out of the narrative. I'm completely comfortable being underestimated.
While Alex Wang and others at Meta are working on this secret model, Bosworth and Meta are enjoying the growing popularity of the Meta smart glasses, which apparently are flying off the shelves. Bosworth makes a convincing statement about why smart glasses can revolutionize the way we interact with our computer.
AI is the first really exciting opportunity we have to dramatically make computing more useful to us. That can't happen if I have to manually tell the computer what I'm trying to accomplish. My favorite example, you're using a Windows computer and you go to click the X button to close a window and you miss the X button by 1 pixel. Infants would recognize that you were trying to close that window. The computer, it's like, I don't know what you're trying to do. Could be doing anything right now. I know, I'm not doing anything. Why is it like that? Well, because the computer doesn't know anything. It doesn't know what you're trying to accomplish. It doesn't understand what your goals are. Even though, again, human children would identify what your intentionality is. So having the AI have full context requires a couple things. It has to see what you see, has to hear what you hear, and it has to watch your actions and intuit from them in the way that either of us would, what you're trying to accomplish, then it can help you out. So we see wearables as this very, very exciting opportunity. People already wear glasses. It's one of the most commonly worn adaptive devices in the world. Even people who have kind of completely healthy vision use sunglasses and can wear clear glasses like I do. So we see it as a very exciting opportunity to close that interface gap that we have been stuck with and didn't realize we were stuck with, didn't realize we were struggling with it, but have been stuck with for 60 years. It's been this story with all of our glasses, actually. I mean, Ray-Ban Metas sold much better than we anticipated. The glasses, these are the second generation Ray-Ban Metas that I'm wearing now. And then the Meta Ray-Ban displays, this is quite an expensive device. It's completely novel. You have to wear a wrist that you use for neural interface control. And so we just kind of planned a conservative build out for it. And then we just literally, to this day, since we launched the Connect, have not been able to keep it in stores. And have just tremendous demand. So we increased orders for the displays, and we're struggling. We don't want to roll it out to a country and then not have enough inventory to serve the country. So we kind of got to catch up in America before we do the international rollout. We'll still get them out there. It obviously bodes very well for the category. That's an area that we're going to invest more in now, seeing the early enthusiasm.
And is it literally you're going to double production? Like, what are the numbers?
It's not quite doubling. I don't have the exact numbers, but yeah, it's a meaningful increase in the amount that we're planning to build lifetime. We did not think these glasses could be large market fit. Because they weren't AR glasses. We were pursuing these glasses as a stepping stone towards full augmented reality, which we're still building, and we're still very excited about it. But these glasses are tremendously popular, and a lot of that is due to the AI that they have. It's worth noting, when we built the Ray-Ban Metas, we didn't even plan on AI as a feature. It landed 4 months before the product shipped. We shoehorned AI into it, and it became one of the top reasons people seek the product out, consider it, and one of the top use cases. Still behind photos and listening to music, but like it's still pretty far up there. So yeah, it's like tremendously changed our landscape for us. We basically see AI devices as happening first and holographic displays happening later, whereas previously we thought the inverse would be true.
Access to so much information and the liberty to take pictures without an option for consent is a matter of debate right now at Meta. Here is how they deal with the issue.
So we have this idea where, we've had for a long time, first principle of our development in Reality Labs is never surprise people. So whatever we're doing, you got to know that we're doing it, and you got to be on board with that. Now, if it's happening on the device, we consider that to be completely fine. You don't need to notify anybody. That's happening on device. This is how our cameras work on our phones today. Like, I take the phone out, I'm using it. You know I'm using it. You can see with your eyes that I'm using it. It's kind of up to me to be wary of that. So if it's happening on the device, that's completely fine, and we don't have to worry about it. If it goes to the server, if it's going to the server, you as the user need to consent for that, because that could be, even if we're not keeping it on the server, even if we're using it just transiently, it's now gone to our servers, and that could be happening. Then there's a third tier, which is what if we're keeping it? What if we're just going to keep it and store it? So there's these 3 tiers of what you do with your own data. Then there's what's called the bystander problem, which is how do other people feel about it? For our opinion is, if the AI is processing that image and getting information and throwing it away, that's fine. That's the way the world's going to work. If I'm putting that image into my accessible space, then we put the light on. So if it's a place where it's user accessible, where I can then look at the library and see the video and see the photo, we put the light on so that you know that's what's happening. And that's a standard we basically created. It seems to be working well. We're getting very popular adoption. We mostly aren't seeing a tremendous amount of friction around that. So that seems to be going pretty well. But we have to reevaluate all of our norms when the AI has more and more access to information private to us. And it makes our lives so much more effective, useful, less frustrating to have it. There have to be really strong protections there. Nobody has an answer for that yet. That is an unsolved problem for the industry.
Speaking about glasses, during MIDO 2026, the largest trade show in the world for eyewear, we learned of a growing trend in personalization. Individuals want to wear eyeglasses that express their identity, taste, and aspirations. This trend towards personalization applies to content too.
We know a lot about you, so providing personal AI is a potential superpower for us. I used to run the ads business at Meta, and I used to tell people, listen, every time somebody sends me an advertisement for shampoo, they wasted their money. And we can do a lot on Meta surfaces to personalize advertising. I don't see a lot of shampoo ads. That's one piece of it. Now extrapolate much further on. If you have the glasses, and you have a full context, how much more can the AI help you? The Meta, I think, is positioned in a couple ways. We have a tremendous amount of information about what you care about, what's important to you, who you're connected to, what's important to them. We potentially have a lot of information, more information if you permit us to, through wearables, to be able to be even more valuable as a personal assistant to you, to make you more effective accomplishing whatever goals you set for yourself.
So we heard about AI models, we heard about glasses. There is one more bet that Meta might have lost, and this is the bet on the metaverse. But this project too is not abandoned, but just has a different priority now. Let's listen.
We're not focused on enterprise use cases. It's not that we don't care, but that's not the focus. We're focused on consumers, what's going to help them the most in their lives as they go about their lives, and it shapes everything in a very unique way, and it's been a wonderfully clarifying kind of vision for us to pursue. What's the old saying? The future is here, it's just not evenly distributed. Whenever we see somebody using their phone, if you have a teenager you've been to dinner with lately, they're on their phone, they're physically there, mentally, they are not with you. They have teleported themselves through that little screen into some other place with other people who are not you.
I think there are some grown-ups like that.
I admit, it doesn't fall far from the tree. So we all have that experience. When we talk about the metaverse, we're talking about what's the richest form of that, as opposed to these really lo-fi text or photo-based interchanges. What we are seeing is tremendous growth in some areas that maybe are surprising people. Horizon on mobile phones is growing tremendously, and that's just similar to Roblox or similar to Minecraft. These are worlds that are built that you can navigate together with friends in these spaces. Meanwhile, the VR space is growing more slowly. It's still growing. We're still the leaders in the space. We still like the space. We're long-term enthusiastic, but it is growing more slowly. So like any investor, you kind of have to rebalance your portfolio. You kind of feed some of the winners and you kind of take some of the losers and you rebalance. And so we're right-sizing it. I do want to be a little bit nuanced here. We're still probably the biggest investors in VR, even after these layoffs. Mm-hmm. In fact, even in things like VR content, I think we're probably investing more than we were since 2020 or 2021, probably. Like we're probably up back to that level of investment. So we're still pretty long-term bullish in this space, but we are changing the cost profile to, if the growth curve is going to be longer but slower, you need to have a lower burn rate. So we're treating it kind of like that. It's like, were these mistakes? In retrospect, you'd say yes, although I think it would have been very hard to tell at the time how these things were going to play out.
As a side note, one of the most relevant applications of the metaverse might come in 4 years, during the World Expo that will take place in Saudi Arabia in 2030. The organizers of Expo Riyadh 2030, in fact, have already announced that the expo will be open to virtual visitors as well, but not as if they were watching a video, but with a true immersive experience. Like for the opinions of many others, these technologies will have an impact on work, and Andrew Bosworth presents a scenario that is more to the point than many of the scenarios presented during keynotes on bigger stages.
AI is a different kind of thing than other technology maybe in the last 20 years. But if you look at the computer, the internet, like big step functions in human capability that we've unlocked over the last 100 years, or really going back even further than that, you see a very consistent payout, which is every time we find a productivity increase, net new job creation goes up. We find new and different things to go do. Leisure time also goes up. You end up so basically it's like a budget. You get some money, you get to decide what to do with it. You can pour that back into more productivity, and now you went in the same 8 hours that you were working before. You're still working 8 hours, but you're getting more done. Or you can pour that back into your hobbies or yourself or free time. It's a dividend that is going to be distributed to the entirety of society for free. It's not going to be evenly distributed. Some people are going to benefit more than others by virtue of some work being more readily attacked by AI than others. And there's no rhyme or reason to it right now. I mean, there is, but it's not like, it won't feel uniform in society. And we have to deal with the unevenness of that. But I do think over time, especially as humanoid robotics start to fill in some of the gaps that are currently physical gaps in the AI's capability, it starts to be pretty uniform.
Meta is not immune to changes when talking about work, but they have a different approach. We heard about the new AI team and the reorganization of Meta AI that was also widely covered by the media. Some of the news also reported a clash of culture between the new generations and the establishments. Meta seems to be innovative also in assimilating the new workforce. Let's listen.
AI is a very different type of work than conventional software engineering. I actually don't think people are really ready for it. I had a kind of a funny question this morning. Someone asked me, hey, how are you doing with some of these new folks? Some of them aren't developers. And it's not even clear to me what a developer means anymore. 4 years ago, we could have all given a very consistent definition of developer and we would have all agreed on it. Today, I don't know. Today is a place where a bunch of tech companies found that when they were doing interviews remotely for coding jobs, the people they were interviewing were cheating using AIs to answer the question. So some of the companies went back to in-person interviews. We did the opposite. We were like, hey, go use whatever AI you want. We're going to make this question way harder. You still only have half an hour. Let's see who can get the most done with an AI in half an hour. Totally different way of thinking. And so this is what I'm talking about when I say this new group coming in. This is going to sound kind of funny to everybody, but I'm 40. I just turned 44. And I remember being the 24-year-old in the Valley who was internet native and talking to people at companies that were not internet native, and it was like, oh, they don't even get it anymore. I'm now those people, and I know that about myself, okay? I want you to understand, this is the important difference. I know that about myself. So when these kind of young guns come in and they're talking a very different language, rather than being like, that's not how we do it here, like, let me enforce the hegemony, I'm like, tell me more. Tell me more. I would like to not be left behind in this coming wave of exciting disruption. I would like to learn from you. So there's like reverse mentorship happening. So of course it's a cultural thing, but it's not a clash, and it hasn't been super conflict. Now, landing like 40 new people and a whole new leadership team and like getting them in, and by the way, getting to work. Yeah, August was crazy. August was an insane month of just touching everybody, trying to figure out who's, I don't know. You know, it was a lot of that. We are in a rhythm now. The results are happening now. And let's be honest, success covers a lot of sins. So if the model's good, boy, these guys are great. You know, so as long as the model's good, I think you're going to find a very forgiving audience for whatever kind of cultural challenges we face. It's honestly been great. It could have been a disaster. Obviously, you go into this thing eyes wide open. Alexander Wang, Nat Friedman have been incredible.
Yeah.
They've been wide open about what the challenges are, what they're trying to accomplish. They lean on me. They lean on Chris Cox. Like, how do we do this correctly? How do we do it inside the company? We got to make this change, but I want it to feel good to people. They've been investing a tremendous amount. I feel I've learned so much from them. I'm not one to blow smoke. I mean, like, listen, I'll tell you.
In speaking about technology, Bosworth also addressed a topic that is even more relevant today than it was at Davos. Are AI companies overspending on data centers? Let's see what they think at Meta.
There are real unanswered questions about the future of infrastructure and how we build these things. It's a kind of these are reminiscent of old questions in our industry that go back a long time. Should we continue to pursue generalized GPUs, or should we switch to more special purpose inference and training architectures? Within that, should we pursue open architectures that maybe have some trade-offs, but you're not locked in? Should you pursue custom purpose-built architectures that maximize performance? These are age-old questions in my industry, and they'll affect every generation of technology. So those ones are trickier. Those are real battles happening right now. They're technical battles. They're people who are disagreeing about the future and what shape it's going to take and when it's going to arrive. That's very, very different, though, than like, what should we optimize for? We have a very clear North Star of what we should optimize for. Mark Zuckerberg tells us what that is. So if you go back to infrastructure build-outs, for example, globally in America, the railroad build-out, the telecom build-out, the internet fiber build-out, these were all tremendously expensive infrastructure projects, and a lot of companies did go bankrupt in trying to hold on long enough. You know, the old saying goes, there's no bad ideas, just bad timing. And so some companies are going to find out they didn't time it correctly, or they didn't have a big enough buffer to weather the storm. Now, I want to counterpoint that by saying, if you look at debt spending relative to infrastructure build-out, we are in a much better position as an industry than telecom was during those build-outs, than railroads were during those build-outs. There's a way less borrowing, way less debt spending. So will some people probably overdo it and be overzealous? Absolutely. Will some people regret it in a 5-year frame? Maybe. Will we regret it as a society in a 30-year frame? Absolutely not. The only part of the build-out that's really temporary is the GPUs. That's also the area that we have the most visibility into how to use them. Power, the grid, the space, the build-out in terms of networking and in terms of warehouses, that's all going to be used. 100% of it and more will be used productively for our society, and we'll be glad to have it.